Hey guys, Underground Geek here, and I want to do something a little bit different. I picked the Amazing Spider-Man in Silk #2, and the reason I picked #2 is because I think Diversity in Comics already did issue #1, and I don't really want to get in the habit of copying things that he and Captain Cummings and other people do. Now, not so much copy them, but if they've already done it, I don't want to do it again. So I picked this comic out totally based on the cover and also based on who's in it because I know here lately we have not seen anything good out of Silk, and I wanted to give this a try and see how it went. Uh, so first off, the cover's amazing. I really like this cover. The only thing I don't like is how small Peter Parker's arms are for his body. Now it makes sense on Silk because women seem to have longer legs and a little bit bigger hips, except for she's got 12-year-old girl chest for some reason, and she's actually supposed to be closer to his age from what I've seen in the backstory, so it doesn't really make sense, but oh well, whatever. Some girls just don't have boobs, but for some reason everyone in Marvel doesn't have boobs. But anyway, uh, Amazing Spider-Man in Silk #2. And let me go off subject real quick. I picked up some more comics because I really like pre-current Spider-Woman's outfit. I think it's probably one of the best outfits that they've had. So I saw this comic and picked it up. And have you ever picked something up and then when you got home you realized something horrible about it and it made you want to do an autistic screech? Well, that's what kind of happened with this comic because I got it basically just on the cover because I really liked the art of it. And then I got home and noticed something. Dun dun dun. I mean, that's what happened to me when I saw it. I wanted to go get in my safe space real quick. So we'll see how that book goes. That may be another video. But anyway, Amazing Spider-Man in Silk #2. So after we get past the cool cover, we start to slowly get disappointed. So we've got Peter Parker here, which I don't know, is he Amazing Spider-Man or not? Because his little symbol's not lit up. I don't really understand that. But anyway, so he's traveled back in time with Silk because reasons. And he's met his uncle Ben Parker, and I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you, this Ben Parker is like the preachiest, most self-righteous, jerkish dude I've ever met. Like if this was my uncle, I'd have done smacked him a couple of times. But anyway, so he meets his uncle, and he's very surprised, of course, because his uncle has died in the storyline. So he's getting to a second chance with him. And Silk doesn't really know what's going on. She's kind of along for the ride, but she's slowly starting to figure out who he is to him. And as they're talking, Peter Parker does this terrible Canadian accent trying to throw his uncle off, and his uncle's just not going for it. So as they're talking, you start to find out more that there was a group of Hydra agents with them. They were all fighting, and Ben kind of took them out with a shovel because reasons. And so as they're talking, Ben kind of gets the answers out of them that they've traveled back in time. They were fighting somebody that looks like a combination of the T-Rex Zord from Power Rangers and a Bad Zoid or something. It kind of looks like a gingivitis monster. I mean, look how bad the teeth are. I don't know if it's a T-Rex or a horse. I mean, look at the face. But anyway, so they travel back in time. Kind of a cool scene there. They're fighting Hydra because Hydra's trying to get the tool to go back in time to change history. So they're back there trying to find a way to stop them. At the same time, they're trying to get away back home. And they don't have their powers for some reason. I don't really understand that, but they don't have their powers, which makes it more interesting because now they've really got to rely on their cunning and things like that. And I'm sorry, but these people in this storyline of Peter Parker and Silk are complete idiots. Like, he runs a company and he's the most inept person I've ever met. Like, Ben has to pretty much save the day at every aspect. And I know why they're doing that. He's kind of the focus of the issue, meeting Ben Parker, finding more out about him because he didn't know all of his backstory and everything. But come on. So there's more talking. We're like 4 pages in and they're still talking. And she's starting to find out who Ben Parker is more and more, that's his uncle, and they kind of share a little bit of a bond because they were bit by the same spider. So that makes a little bit of sense, but I'm really ready for these two just to start dating or something, because if they're going to have that much of a connection, then let's just get this ball rolling. So anyway, Ben says, "Hey, let's beat the heck out of this Hydra agent and get the information out of him." Then we've got our title page here, about 4 pages in. So he's cranking on the guy's arm, getting information out of him because reasons, and then you find out that he was like military police or something, and I don't think I've ever heard that in any of the backstories ever, and so I mean I guess it's a good backstory, you know, kind of make him a little bit tougher, more mysterious. But then the Hydra agent's talking about how they got they're building the prototype, the Rex guy, and they're trying to get everything to work so they can go back in time and change history. It's funny how the scientists, the only difference you can tell between the regular people and the scientists is they're wearing a lab coat, but it's very 80s. But they found a signature while they were trying to build their own prototype, and they pretty much assumed that from that signature that's the finished prototype in their time from the future. So now they're trying to track down that. So something happens, they're back in time. They've pretty much got all the information out of the Hydra agent. They break into somebody's house, and Ben's just annoying. Like, listen to what he says. He says, "Okay, I don't like being in someone's house when they're not around, but we need answers. Look around, tell me what you see." I mean, did you really have to say that? Could you not have said, "Well, I'm really not comfortable with this, but I understand why we got to do it"? You know, it's just a little weird, kind of awkward writing. He's like, "What the heck happened in here?" You know, obviously it looks like something's happened, but he said, "Yeah, this has domestic dispute written all over it. I imagine being married to a Hydra agent can't be easy." So it's a lot of assumptions going on here. They don't really know what happened, but instantly think, well, the man's beating the wife. You know, instantly the man has to be beating the wife. And then we see the husband and wife. And have you noticed something? He's a skinhead. He's a skinhead white dude, and instantly he's the bad guy. And the wife is a blonde-haired woman. And, you know, they're going to assume that she's bad, too, later on in the story. I'm like, okay, I don't really know where that's going, but okay. So anyway, the Hydra agent said they're not really allowed to have families, so he must have kept this from them. And he says, oh, when they find out about this, they're going to wham. He gets knocked out by Ben because Ben just hits everybody that speaks. And so, totally inept Silk and Peter Parker totally relying on Ben Parker at this point to do everything. He says, hey, y'all need clothes to cover up your outfits. And they're like, oh, what? We're wearing costumes? We need to cover them up? So then we move on. They've got outfits and everything, and I guess this was 10 years ago, so this was like early 2000 at this point. If we're talking about current times, so I guess they had yoga pants in 2000. I can't really remember, but it just seems a little weird. But anyway, he makes a comment about it. Actually, he said, "What did I say about pants?" He said, "Well, I'm working with what I've got." And so at this point, they're about to head out. They're talking about what they're going to do, and Ben Parker, you know, being the polite person he is, tells them to shut up. So he's seen something, and he's going to use it to help them find out what's going on. And then he sees this note, and instantly I was like, no, Martha! And so they keep talking, and they're talking more about Martha. Martha! Why did you say that name? No, he didn't really say that, but that instantly made me start laughing when I saw that. So now we're at the Hydra base. It doesn't tell us if it's in the future or in the past, but cool. So I'm assuming it's in the future because the prototype is not done yet. They're still building the horse dinosaur, and for reasons. I mean, I guess when it gets done, he's going to fight the Power Rangers, or maybe he'll fight Ultraman. But so they're talking about trying to build the prototype, trying to get it done. The guy that they're looking for that worked for them, that was the husband, is missing. They can't find him. He's stolen the prototype to finish it. But now they've got him. They've captured him. They captured the mean skinhead. And they went to Martha's house. She's not there. So now they're going to her friend's house to try to find out what's going on because reasons. And the Silk says, hey, we should get an Uber. And he says, they don't have Ubers now. Ha, 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 ha. You know, oh, God, you're not funny. And they said, let's get a cab. And he said, how about I drive instead? And I hate this when they change artists midway through the comic. Now, I understand you've got, like, hey, one guy's doing page 1 through 7. One guy's doing 8 through 14 and things like that. But I hate when they have so different of an art style. Like, look at Ben here, and then look at him just a couple of pages ago. You know, oh my gosh, I'm just getting used to the way they look, and then you changed it. You know, they're even drawn different. They're drawn more like the TV show a little bit. He's like, wow, your old car. I mean, that's a great old car, you know, because he's having flashbacks of the family time that they used to have together. And so Ben gets out his old school map, and they pretty much know where they're going now. So he's driving off, and Peter Parker makes the joke of Leadfoot Parker strikes again, talking about his grandpa having a lead foot. And that's funny because I remember my grandparents. Grandparents either go one way. They either drive 10 miles under the speed limit or 10 miles over the speed limit at all times. And we have some autistic screeching here. He says, so you have superpowers. Yeah, I mean, we did. Anyways, how did you get them? And he talks about that. And it doesn't really like... I kind of like the idea of them not having powers, but at the same time, it just makes it really, really boring. Because if I'm reading a superhero comic, I want them to have superhero powers. You know, it's just whatever. If they're not going to have their powers, at least be really smart like Batman. My old man used to say that to me. With great power comes great responsibility. He says, except he would say, there must also come great responsibility, but still. And if I was him, I'd be like, well, thanks for correcting me, a jerk. Anyway, so they're talking more about what he does in the future. He runs a company, and he says, you run a company? And instantly I was like, Ben, I'm right there with you, man. I understand. This guy runs a company? Makes no sense. All right, so they're talking more about this, and he says he's ambitious. He's got that company, blah, blah, blah. Silk's sitting back there contributing nothing to the story so far, and then she sees her old self before she got put in the bunker and given the powers, and she wants him to stop because she wants to tell herself, hey, don't leave it like it was. Don't go to the bunker. Don't change your life. And she's trying to tell him, hey, yeah, let me out. Come on. And pretty good art right here. A lot better eyes drawn here than in that Batgirl comic I did yesterday. Check that video out, please. But she wants to get out. She wants to warn him. I need to tell him. I don't need to go anywhere. And it's surprising because Ben's like, if I could change the past, I would. And he starts to let her out. And Peter's trying to tell her, no, don't change the future. No. And he's stopping. I was like, well, he's going to let her do it. And then he says, well, I think Peter might be right. I don't think you, or Tony, his name is Tony on here because he can't tell him his real name. He says, what's done is done. You change the past once, then where do you stop? It's your call, though. So kind of lets her make it on her own. She says, just keep going. And he says, I know what you mean about saying I love you one more time. I love you. And Ben's kind of like, okay, well, we figure all this out and I'll love you right back. He kind of lets it go. But at the same time, I would have been like, what? Are you one of those gays? Them there gays? Is this what this is? Is that why you're wearing the costume? Everything's starting to make sense. No, but that would have been funny. So now they're at Hell's Kitchen. And it makes me wonder if the next issue maybe will have Daredevil in it because they're in Hell's Kitchen, or is that just a reference? You know, it's just an easy way to do something that people would know. And it says, see, I told you I'd get us in here in no time. It's like, okay, Ben, we get it. We've graded everything. So they meet up with the people that they're looking for. They finally find the wife of the Hydra agent. They start telling her, hey, you're in danger, and they get you out of here because Hydra. And she says, well, my husband works for him. I know all about it. Because she had actually confronted him about it. And they started going at it, and look how terrible these faces are drawn. I mean, my goodness, Lord have mercy. I could have done that with a pencil at a coffee stand. But they're talking more about she found his mask, confronted him. They found out about the whole thing that was going on. He had stolen the prototype, and this kind of lets you know the timeline and when this come out. The first season of Daredevil, man, that's a good show. So anyway, they got to an argument because he's a mean old man, and he slaps the picture out of her hand, breaks it, because he's a wife beater, because, for reasons. And she said, I tried following him once, lost him in Red Hook. So basically, they said, hey, they're gonna go find him. They're gonna make all this right. They're gonna try to help. And Ben, being everybody's grandpa that he says, thanks for your time. You two ever need anything, you call me. And it's like, thank you, Mr. Parker. He's kind of like everybody's papa, but at the same time, I mean, God, he's so annoying in this comic. We got a possible location on the Hydra base. Call to win. And they says, but we don't have any powers. We don't know what we're going to do. He says, maybe we shouldn't even try. And I thought this was the end because when I flipped it, you had a 2-page spread of advertisement. And I was like, holy crap, that's terrible. Like, why would I even read the next issue? Because he's sitting there just pouting away. So then I flipped, and I was like, oh, okay, so we're just going to do 3 advertisements, one right after the other, and then go right back to the story for 2 pages. Okay, sounds cool. So he happens to see a newspaper boy bite him in the face, and it's kind of like one of those moments in the comic, you got to be kidding me. So then they know what they got to do, and he shows it to her, and she says, you got to be kidding me. And they tell Ben, they said, we got to go right now. And he said, let me see the newspaper. And they're like, no, you can't see it. And they throw it away. I mean, it's one of those reasons. Come on, it's stupid. Just hand it to him and he'll go, oh, wow, that's a good idea. But instead, you have to look in the trash can. It says science fair, radioactive experiment. So obviously, somebody's going to have the prototype for radioactive experiments there. And they know that maybe they can use it to get their powers back. And then you see a foreshadowing here of the T-Rex guy. And it says, I have all the time in the world. And he's drawn a lot better right there, so he looks more like a T-Rex. So obviously this artist can draw better of a T-Rex face than the other guy. But still, I mean, it looks like a big horse Zord. I mean, I don't really understand. Is he a Zoid? Is he a Zord? Is he a bad guy from an 80s film? I'm not really sure. So then that's pretty much where the comic book ends. You see the next issue. I guess that's Ben, because, they keep drawing him so different I can't really notice him. But that's it. I mean, all in all, it's a very forgettable comic book. Like, I can tell you 24 hours later, I had to almost look at it again because I'd just forgotten everything about it. There's nothing really going on besides them talking to Ben and talking about life stuff. And I just noticed something on his costume. You notice how they kind of drew the S on there, but they kind of hid it in the thing? I think that's kind of cool. But anyway, I mean, I would not recommend this comic. If the rest of them are like this one, I would probably leave it alone. Silk is very forgettable, but has a cool costume. Spider-Man is very forgettable, even though he runs a company, and he's a character that's been around since the early days of Marvel. But they have a cool cover, though. Cool Stargate. I mean, kind of like Doctor Strange type stuff. But other than that, I wouldn't really recommend this comic. It's kind of boring. But I'm going to wrap up this video and just let you know that I'm going to be reading more comics later. I've got this one. I've got a Spider-Verse, Spider-Woman later that's got Silk in it, too. And I think it even has Spider-Gwen in there, just kind of thrown in. But we'll see how that goes. All right, guys. Let me know what you think. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the notifications button. And thanks for watching. All right, bye.